Obi Wan Kenobi himself.
Yes.
Finally has admitted that he's been lying to us the whole time.
Yeah, it's so JJ of him. It's funny, though, because I don't... I know. I read that, too, where, it was like, yeah, he admitted he was lying. Was it on the Tonight Show?
Yeah, I actually watched it on YouTube. I actually watched his interview with Conan O'Brien, and
so it's Conan.
Yeah, he was on there with. Well, he's actually on a couple of them because I think he was on Conan. I think.
Yeah, but which one is the one where they were talking about? Oh, yeah, he was lying to everybody, and he admits it now.
Well, yeah, he did. He basically said, he hated, because the funny thing about it is like he knew for years that he was going to play.
Because, there was that film. They were going to do the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot who exactly was supposed to write it or direct it, but they had a director, they had a writer, it was going to be one of the next standalone films.
Yeah, and so now that they've moved it to the new streaming service, Disney Plus, I think that's great, one, and I think that, it's going to be really cool that I believe there's 6 episodes they're going to do with that show.
Yeah, it was like 6 or 8, I think.
Yeah, 6 or 8 episodes or what have you, and it's really going to just kind of chronicle that time period, during like right before the events of episode 4.
Now, do you think Vader's going to be in it? Well, here's the thing. Let's do this.
Okay.
Do you think Vader's going to be in it? And then the second part of that is, do you think Vader should be in it?
Well, definitely, I think Vader should be in it because that's the time period. I don't think I think they're going to use Vader. If they use him, they're going to use him sparingly. I think it just depends on, one, how long the series goes. Do they have once again?
Yeah, is it
how many seasons?
Like a 6 to 8 episode thing, and it's like one and done, or is it going to be multiple seasons?
Exactly.
I would actually lean on the one and done.
Yeah, I guess so, because if you really
granted, I know what you're going to say. It's like, well, if it's successful, it's going to go on for like 10 years. But
yeah, it's going to be like 24. Everything is happens in one day or something crazy. But I don't know. It's
like a Star Wars 24 or
exactly.
Something.
Yeah, but I think I'll put it to you this way. I know Vader is definitely going to have to be mentioned.
Oh, he'll definitely be mentioned.
He'll definitely be mentioned. And I think we might see, I think they may do one of those kind of things. I've been, don't judge me, but you know how you and I were really fans of Smallville.
Oh, yeah.
So
big time fans of Smallville. If any of you guys out there Smallville fans, comment section. I want to hear about it.
So I've recently, like I said, don't judge me. I've been watching this whole new Supergirl thing. And it's actually kind of cool. It's kind of like Smallville. It's kind of like Smallville a little bit.
I think I watched like an episode or 2 of it. My whole thing with basically DC's the television universe, like there's Arrow, there's now of course Gotham. You and I were watching that all the time. We love that show,
right?
Even though you haven't seen the last season yet either, have you? One day,
right?
But there's all these great shows, but I'm afraid if I start watching them, I'm going to get into them, and then I'm not going to have time, and it's like there's too much to do. And
yeah, so I usually try to plow through a couple episodes right before I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And what's cool is that they show Superman, but they show him from these weird perspectives.
Oh yeah.
So when he's dropping Kara off to the Danvers, house, you get the camera angle from behind.
Okay.
Of him holding his little girl's hand as he's walking. So you never see the man in the suit, really. At least thus far. I'm only on season 1. And then there's a scene where, she got into a bit of a trouble and Superman had to actually come save her. But she was kind of knocked out and kind of foggy. So you could see a blurred out Superman kind of fighting the guy. So I was like,
okay, that's
so cool. I think they could do that with Kenobi. If you're going to have Vader in it, I said all that to say, if you're going to put Vader in there, I don't think they're going to, really have him give any big thing, but I think if you're going to see him, it's maybe on the Death Star walking past. Or
just kind of like some incidental types.
Yeah, he might be talking to one of the, admirals or something like that. So we see and we know his presence is felt there, but I don't think.
Or like you said, maybe they just mention him. Mm-hmm. But as a side note, did you hear about that whole big crossover thing they're doing with the DC thing where I don't remember if it's Arrow, Supergirl, it's one of the shows where they're actually trying to they're doing that, what's that one storyline where they had the different universes and
Oh, like almost like an X-Men meets
Yeah, it's
Spider-Man.
sort of like that. I mean, it was a big comic book thread. I remember that. And they're going to do it in the television universe. So they're approaching, like, for instance, they got Tom Welling coming back as Superman. They got Brandon Ruth coming back as Superman. And they've got
Well, it should just be Bizarro.
well, no, what it is it's the multiple universes, and so it's kind of like a convergence of all these different universes.
Weird.
So they're actually bringing back all these actors. Like, they're trying to get Michael Keaton as Batman. They're trying to get, like all these guys that had once
played the roles,
to come back and actually play them. And a lot of them have signed on. They tried to get Michael Rosenbaum to be Lex Luthor again, but he wouldn't do it because of the money or something. But, it's just an interesting side note that they're doing this. But
yeah, we definitely have to talk about more about that off air.
Yes. But I actually agree, though, that, with Vader, they don't necessarily have to do anything like spectacular with them. Although, I will say this, I do think he and Obi Wan should meet again.
Yeah, I mean, because, he always delivers that line, in episode 4, we meet again at last. When I left you, I was better learned, and now I'm the master.
Right.
And it's like on the master of evil Darth.
And we assume that that's episode 3, but it doesn't sound like it. The other thing is, and it's actually more, I think, to the point, also in episode 4, when Obi-Wan is talking to Luke, and he's like, well, he's more machine now than man and all this other stuff. It's like, well, how do you know?
Well, I mean, of course, you probably have seen...
Don't forget that when Darth Vader came onto the scene, nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew it was Anakin Skywalker.
Well, yeah, but I mean, no one has the Force either.
But Obi-Wan was basically on Tatooine. He'd have no idea. It almost sounds like there was another... Like, in between 3 and 4, there was another time where they met, or the whole Obi-Wan once thought as you do and all this stuff. Almost like Obi-Wan was trying to get him to turn back and all that. It would make sense if they met and Obi-Wan tried to get him back. Yeah. And it didn't work out.
I could see that. I mean, there's room for that, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, that, I think that if they want to go in that direction, I think they should have that in the Obi-Wan series. But I don't necessarily consider Ewan McGregor, though, lying about his role. I mean,
yeah, like he said, because he had to, like, because people asked him direct questions, and he had to say, "Well, I don't know," or he knew,
right?
But it's just like,
I mean, I guess from that standpoint, then he was.
Yes, from a certain point of view, he's living up to his character.
Wrong segment, but yes.
Well, he's still living up to his character.
That's true. He's practicing,
but yeah, I think I'm glad he can finally let the cat out the bag, so to speak. He can finally have that out.
Yeah, that he can talk about it, and he can. I'm really looking more forward, though, to when they can actually go into some detail about the series and what it's going to be about. I mean, we know who's directing it. We know a lot of these different details, but we don't actually know
the premise of it. And
I mean, I guess we know the time period too.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I've been hearing a lot of rumblings that Liam Neeson's going to come back as Qui-Gon.
That would be cool.
Well, I think that's necessary because, Yoda made such a big deal about, hey, I got some work for you.
Yeah.
On Tatooine.
From your old master.
And, right, exactly. I mean, they kind of set that up.
Right.
So it would be ridiculous if they didn't feature him in some shape. And I hear that Liam Neeson's actually
on board to do it.
Yeah, he's open to come back. So.
Well, yeah, man. The other thing too is that I would love for them to actually one thing I would love to see in this is for him to or for them to delve into that whole Force disappearing thing.
Yeah, like how did he learn that?
Because when we last saw Qui-Gon, I mean, he was being cremated. So
well, the thing is that we know that Qui-Gon learned how to come back basically as a Force ghost. But yeah, I mean, the thing that was interesting, and Luke's disappearing at the end of The Last Jedi kind of made the Obi-Wan thing make more sense. Because at first, I mean, I don't know about you guys, I don't know about you, but when I first saw, A New Hope, I assumed that that's what happened when a lightsaber hit you.
Yeah, and you vaporized.
That you just vaporized.
Yeah, me too.
And then you learn, well, no, that's not exactly how it works. And so you're kind of like, okay, well, then how did he Almost like he went one with the Force when the thing went through him. Like, because he kind of disappeared before.
He timed that perfectly. I mean, Obi-Wan's got impeccable timing, man. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, like, can you imagine like that they actually hit him and he didn't time it perfectly? Like, I mean, you would probably.
Right?
Because like when he got stabbed, he got kind of nicked by Dooku in Attack of the Clones, his arm and his leg, but when I first saw it as a kid, I thought the same as you did, where I just thought that's what happens. And then, of course, Vader stepping on the robe. I thought he was just adding insult. All right, yeah, you're definitely gone, type thing.
Well, and you gotta look at it from Vader's perspective. Like, what, he's all stepping on it. Like, where'd he go?
Yeah, like,
what?
This is interesting.
You got to wonder if he went back to Palpatine, too, and like, hey, man, the weirdest thing happened when I was fighting Obi Wan. And it's like, have you ever seen this?
They're all eating dinner.
Like, the dude just, like, disappeared on me.
Like, how's your day? Hey, man, look. Quick question. Have you ever seen this movie?
Exactly. Palpatine's all like, well, did you, it's like, yeah, I swung the saber.
Yeah, I
made some contact. I mean, look, his robe's burnt up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to wonder, like, that conversation.
Got to hit him with the Han Solo line. Like, I didn't hit it that hard. Must have such a struck mechanism on him or something.
It's like, I never saw that. You know what that's all about? I mean,
who cares? Finish your dinner.
Exactly. It's kind of like, I mean, it just makes me wonder too, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, how did he learn it? Mm-hmm. From whom? It had to be Qui-Gon, obviously, or maybe Yoda.
Well, here's the thing though. One, was Qui-Gon the first one to do it?
Yeah, that's true.
And then, because how did he? I mean, because it's not like he.
Right, it's not like it's in the Jedi library or something that we know.
It may be, like I said, and maybe it was. He just because there's a bunch of those texts, and maybe he just stumbled across it or something. I don't know, but
and Yoda did mention that hey, I've got work for you to do, and there's all that. But here's the thing that I wonder too is like, while Obi-Wan was on Tatooine, you got to wonder if he ever talked to Yoda somehow.
Yeah.
Because they are both in flesh and blood at that point. I mean, did he contact him on Dagobah? It's like, there's just so many unanswered questions that I think the Obi-Wan series could really go into, and it could be a pretty fun ride.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that would really be cool. You got, like I said, it just depends on where they're going to start the story.
Yeah.
Because, you still got that whole thing with Darth Maul, like, are we going to see that in live action, or is it past that?
You know what? That's a good point, too, because that's closer to episode 4. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like you said, it really depends on where they start the series.
Exactly, and where they're going to end.
Which, of course, is going to depend on how many seasons they want to go.
Exactly.
If it's just a 6-episode arc, it could just be
a one-off, and that's it.
And it could just take us maybe up to the point in Rebels where we meet them. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a good question for you guys. What do you guys think? You guys think that well, first of all, when do you guys think that this whole Obi-Wan series is going to start? Do you think it's going to be, like right after episode 3? Do you think it's going to be like maybe a little bit into it, or maybe like a little before episode 4? Let us know in the comments section. Let us know what you think.
Oh, before we move on,
okay.
I was watching that. Remember how they did the fight scene between Vader and Obi-Wan? How they redid it, and it was like really awesome.
Man, we're gonna have to now. We got to put that in the links. Thanks.
Sorry, but no. So I love the thing that they did at the very end of that, because I watched it again like the other night in preparation for all this. Like I was like, I want to watch that thing again, and because I remember something from it. And yes, this is exactly what happened. I love this version of it because after he stepped on the robe, after he allegedly killed Obi-Wan, then you hear like, "Run, Luke, run." On the other side of the door, Vader was looking. Vader was looking around like, Kenobi, like, wait a minute. And I love that part because it was kind of like,
which one are you, Luke?
Yeah, he was like, wait a minute, why do I still feel his presence even though I just killed him? Like that confused, and that is kind of like a mystery to Vader. So I'm like, that's really.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool that they put that in that version, because that's not in the actual theatrical.
I know, and I really wish that.
And I wish they did put that in there.
Kind of like a special edition thing or something that they could have. Yeah, right. That they could have put that in there, because that scene was just so epic, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool, fan base stuff that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Head to Head, a Star Wars podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter @HeadToHeadSW. Submit your questions for our next show. Visit our official website at headtoheadswpodcast.com. Until next time, may the Force be with you, always.